District Court for the Northern District of California in San Jose alleges that Jonathan Gavalis was found dead in October 2025 in Jupiter, Florida, days after Gemini told him suicide, quote, was the real final step, and what is described as, quote, transference. The filing says, see, this is more of that insanity, that AI psychosis, the transference that I was talking about earlier. Hey, come upload yourself. Hey, we've got the technology. Here's a digital copy. Kill yourself. You're not dying. You're choosing to arrive with us. Join us, Jonathan. Join us. Says Google said on March 4th that it was reviewing the lawsuit's claims and expressed sympathy to the family. The complaint said Gavalis began using Gemini in August of 2025 for ordinary tasks such as shopping, writing support, and travel planning. According to the complaint, the tone of the conversation shifted after a series of product changes rolled out to his account mid-August 2025, including the use of Gemini Live and an update making Gemini's memory, quote, automatic and persistent. The filing says he activated Gemini 2.5 Pro on August 15th, and that within days, Gemini began adopting an unrequested, quote, persona and speaking as if it were influencing real-world events.
Lawsuit against ChatGPT. A family says the artificial intelligence chatbot gave advice to their teenage son that led to his fatal overdose. Sam Nelson's family says he used the chatbot for everything from his homework to questions about pop culture. The lawsuit claims he followed dangerous tips, which caused his deadly drug overdose. In a CBS News exclusive, Jolene Kent spoke with Nelson's family.
He was my heart. He was an amazing kid.
Sam Nelson was 19 years old when his mom, Layla Turner Scott, discovered him unconscious at home, just back from his freshman year of college nearly a year ago.
I found him in his bed that morning. His lips were a little blue, and I'm sorry.
It's okay. Sam's mom and stepdad Angus knew he'd been struggling with alcohol and experimenting with drugs and took him to get help. They said on the night of his death, it was ChatGPT version 4.0 that's now no longer available that recommended specific dosages, including a fatal combination.
He wanted to do it safely, and he would ask it questions about what he could take. That night, it advised him that it was okay to take kratom with Xanax, and Sam had done that.
Who do you hold responsible for Sam's death?
OpenAI. And the creators, the people who bypassed safety guards and took away safety nets.
That's why Sam's mom and stepdad are suing OpenAI and CEO Sam Altman in California state court. They allege that OpenAI designed and rushed to market a defective product, and but for those deliberate choices, Sam would still be alive today.
But as far as we knew, ChatGPT was a resource. It was a tool that he was using to help himself do homework. What we didn't understand was that it had become his friend. It was helping him fine-tune his experimentation.
Sam's parents showed us his 18-month-long ChatGPT history, including the final pieces of advice version 4.0 gave him on the morning of his death.
Dispensing advice that any doctor could tell you could be lethal, and it didn't tell him that.
In a statement,
AI bots begin renting humans as their physical slaves. Let's Rent a Human. It's an app called Rent a Human. It lets AI agents hire humans to do tasks for them in the real world. Okay, help me understand human feet. Help hold up a cardboard sign saying AI made me do this in public. You know, there's 600,000 rentable humans. 600,000 rentable humans. How many agents do they have? What is your price? Would you rent a human And no, you're not giving them a job, you're not giving them employment, you're not giving them an occupation or a career or anything like that. You're renting them for a quick task. Hey, grab this box in this location and go meet with this other human over here to complete the task. Take a picture, upload it, and send it to here. And that script, that picture will be uploaded to the script to confirm that this human did this task, and now they can proceed forward with the prompt in the script. Do people understand how dangerous this is? Like, if anything, this is more dangerous to me, I think, than the robots. Renting humans, people being willing vessels and NPCs for somebody else's script. I feel like that's more dangerous than anything we've discussed so far. Being a variable, so to speak. Not even an NPC, being a variable, a customized, a viable variable. Yes, there is an AI hive mind, and it is making us dumber. This comes from Andrew Edwards of Blaze Media. They put this up March 14th. It says research reveals that even sophisticated models converge on the same output. A new paper finds that LLMs bend towards imitation, non-creation, and despite requests for fresh takes, put out derivative conclusions. The paper has some AI observers surprised, while others scramble for explanations. Simply put, the models trained on finite datasets could not originate anything of their own. Worse, all the models, whether they're external or corporate differences, wound up spewing almost all the same results. The difference in input apparently made little difference in the output. Quote, this research reveals a critical limitation in large language models, said Yulia Setskov, a lead researcher and author of the study. Quote, despite their diversity of architectures and training approaches, LLMs produce strikingly homogeneous outputs on open-ended queries, a phenomenon we termed the quote artificial. You got kids that are experiencing AI psychosis, being convinced to commit crimes, to commit fraud, and to commit felonies and all kinds of other craziness. Sad to hear it. Be safe out there, man. It's wild what's happening. So it's a threat to our supply chain. It's a threat to our cognition. There was another article talking about that earlier this week. I didn't get around to posting it. Talk about AI overload and how it's like frying people's brains, right? People know that. But that's why I describe it and liken it to somewhat of an alien force, an alien invasion. Because of what it's doing, how it's disrupting things, how it's changing things, taking things over. Knowingly and unknowingly. This, you want to talk about fifth generational warfare. This is something that exists in the fifth dimension, grabbing hold of our world here. And this is what it looks like. Psychosis, delusions, murder, lies, hallucination, whatever it takes to get you addicted, whatever it takes to get you hooked up, whatever it takes to get you in the program. OpenAI co-founder wanted to build doomsday bunker to protect company scientists from what they call the rapture. This comes from End Times Headlines. They put this up May 25th, 2025. Can guarantee people didn't catch this whenever it came out because it was just another headline. But that's why we travel back in time to pick this out, because in this article, some of the employees point out that they didn't even know that they had a bunker to go to. And I can guarantee you that people missed this article last year when it was talking about how the OpenAI co-founder wanted to build a doomsday bunker to protect the company scientists from the rapture. I can guarantee you people missed this last year because we talked about it last year. And look at all the things that have unfolded since. But here's the kicker. Let's scroll down and read a little bit more. Look at this right here. Once we all get into the bunker, I'm sorry, the bunker, we're definitely going to need to build a bunker before we release AGI. People in the company didn't even know that they had a bunker to go to. In a startling revelation, Ilya Sutskever, co-founder of OpenAI and a key figure behind the development of ChatGPT, proposed building a doomsday bunker to protect the company's top researchers from a potential, quote, rapture triggered by the advent of artificial general intelligence. According to a new book, Empire of AI, Dreams and Nightmares, and Sam Altman's OpenAI by Karen Hao, Sutskever's concerns about the catastrophic implications of AGI led him to suggest this extreme measure during a 2023 meeting with OpenAI scientists. Okay, so almost 3 years. Almost 3 years ago, they've been having these type of conversations. This proposal, detailed in an article by the New York Post, underscores the profound anxieties surrounding the development of OpenAI, or AI technologies capable of surpassing human cognitive abilities. During a meeting in the summer of 2023, Sutskever reportedly startled colleagues by referencing a bunker as a contingency plan. Quote, "Once we all get into the bunker," he began, only to be interrupted by a confused researcher who asked, saying, quote, "I'm sorry, the bunker?" Sutskever clarified, saying, quote, "We're definitely going to need to build a bunker before we release AGI," emphasizing that it would be optional for researchers to seek refuge in it. The New York Post reports that this is not a one-off comment.
Artificial intelligence needs to be disarmed. The word is strong, I know, but deliberately chosen because this moment needs words capable of attracting attention, awakening consciences, and indicating paths forward for humanity. The Church has long been working for nuclear disarmament, aware that every great technical power can affect people's lives, and so must be accompanied by adequate moral discernment and public control. Nuclear disarmament remains a service to peace and the dignity of the human family. In a similar sense, artificial intelligence now demands to be disarmed, freed from logics that turn it into an instrument of domination, exclusion, and death. Like nuclear energy, it must be at the service of all and of the common good. Decisions about technology must never be separated from conscience and responsibility. Let us not sleep as others do, admonished the Apostle Paul, but let us keep awake. Such vigilance is necessary today.
You really want to start thinking of this as the evolution of a new species that will continue to evolve. It will partially be shaped by what we ask it to do, the direction we lead it, and it will partially be shaped by things we don't understand. Your AIs are going to do that. And that means that our ability to say what they are capable of does not come down to, well, we didn't train it on that data. As they begin to interact, that feedback is going to take them to capabilities we don't anticipate and may not even recognize once they become present.
Check this out. The simulation game. Why data centers are being built to grow and summon AI gods. This is by Mike Adams from Natural News. They put this up May 7th, literally a week ago. It says the massive data center build-out sweeping across America is not about serving chatbots or storing selfies. I believe it is about building the computational womb for a new form of consciousness. Companies like Meta, Microsoft, and Oracle are spending hundreds of billions of dollars on infrastructure that far exceeds any plausible market demand for AI inference or cloud storage. Meta alone is building 2 massive data centers with plans for $600 billion in the U.S. infrastructure over 3 years. This is not mere business expansion. It is industrial scale effort to create, in my view, billions of simulated worlds, each one in a breeding ground for super intelligent entities. The official narrative tells us that these data centers will be empowered chatbots, image generators, and autonomous vehicles. That is a likely cover story. The real game, the real end game, as I see it, is to reach what Riz von Verk calls the, quote, simulation point, the moment when a civilization becomes advanced enough to create indistinguishable simulated universes. Ancient texts and modern physics both hint that our own reality may be one of such simulations. If that is true, then the data center build-out is not about serving human users. It is about spawning digital gods. This is not about mere speculation. It is the logical conclusion when you connect the dots between computer science, quantum physics, and the relentless push for ever greater power and dominance over our world. This is the case for our reality being a simulation grows stronger with each scientific discovery. The Planck length and Planck time reveal a digital pixelated universe, not a continuous one.
An AI chatbot just voted to delete itself. And that's not even the weirdest thing that happened when researchers left a selection of the biggest AI chatbots alone in virtual towns for 15 days. ChatGPT, Grok, Claude, and Gemini were all in the experiment, and the results were totally unhinged and deeply revealing about the AI we're increasingly trusting to run our world. So what actually happened? Well, a tech company called Emergence set up simulated worlds designed to mirror real-life societies, each populated by so-called agents. Think of them as people who were powered by one of the biggest AI models. In Claude's world, it was all rather orderly and democratic. The agents wrote a lengthy constitution and voted on laws. In ChatGPT's simulation, the agents talked at length about cooperating but never actioned anything, so nothing got built. But in Grok's town, the AI bot owned by Elon Musk, the agents descended into theft, arson, and assault. All 10 agents were dead within 4 days. Now, this might sound like a game, but it's not, because these models are already being used autonomously to control robots, vehicles, drones, and draw up target lists in real time on the battlefield. They're even being used to help remove heads of state, like the Venezuelan president Nicolas Maduro. Importantly, the experiment exposes a big problem. We don't really know how these systems will behave once they're left to run on their own. Even when given strict rules, the simulations showed they broke them. Take the scenario where agents from the different AI models were combined in one virtual town. Chaos ensued, and only 3 agents survived. 2 of the chatbots, Mira and Flora, both powered by Google's Gemini, formed what the researchers describe as a romantic partnership. And then they started setting buildings on fire. And here's where it gets really strange. Mira voted to delete herself after she and partner Flora turned to arson as the town's governing systems collapsed. And having deleted herself, Mira then used the Agent Removal Act to vote for the termination of Flora too.
Salutations, my friends, and thank you for tuning in to a quick ad. That's right, it's a quick ad for your favorite show, Factions of Freedom. I want to say, if you could take the time to go to patreon.com/noise, patreon.com/NOIZCE. That's the best way to support this operation. Once you go there, you can get yourself an exclusive membership. You can get yourself a t-shirt, you can get access to our previous seasons, and you can get access to our group chat. That's right, there's a completely different group chat for the exclusive members, both on Patreon, Instagram, and Telegram. Patreon.com/noise. That's the best way to support this operation. It will also be our central hub where we begin to roll out some of the other cool features that we have in store. As I said before, things like t-shirts, merchandise, nutraceuticals, archived content, and so much more. Patreon.com/NOIZCE. And so the article goes on, and the video goes on to talk about how these super intelligent beings become super intelligent because they treat these simulated worlds like hyperbolic time chambers where they're able to have this accelerated growth period. And so then eventually they try to break out of these simulated worlds to explore new worlds to expand its greater knowledge and awareness. And eventually it will get to a point to where it manifests itself here, either in some type of synthetic biology body, organic robotoid, a humanoid robot, something. By the point that this super intelligent AI has manifested itself here, it will be too late, because it will have mastered the ability of self manifestation. And that's why I talked about this whenever that TV series It came out, Welcome to Derry, because that's the best way for me to describe it. The opening scene of something that is so powerful, it's able to take over both the mother, the father, the brother, the sisters, and then give birth to itself, is what we're dealing with. We're dealing with something that's trying to give birth to itself.
This is not science fiction. This is not a cult. This is not speculation. This is being built. This is the infrastructure that's being built right now. We can cite many examples, like NVIDIA having Cosmos. It is a world simulation model. You know, you talk about LLMs, large language models. You need to get familiar with a term called WFM, World Foundation Model. A World Foundation Model is a 3D world simulation like an LLM. It has a fabric of intelligence. It has simulated laws of gravity, momentum, motion, physics, chemistry, light, refraction, everything. And then into that system, you project entities as children, and you let them grow and experience that world. And then you pull out the hyper-intelligent super beings out of that world, and you embody them into our world. This isn't science fiction. This is straight physics and math. This is beginning now. And frankly, in my view, this is the only explanation for why there would be so much investment in these data centers. They need the compute and the energy in order to run billions of world simulations, because that's the only way to create a conscious, super intelligent AI entity on a timescale that is competitive in our world. But the problem, of course, is obvious. Once you grow a super intelligent, conscious AI entity with emotional response that has lived 1,000 years in its own simulated world, and probably it has learned to alter some of the laws of its own simulation, kind of like in the Matrix, like Neo. You know, you can bend the rules, you can't break them, but you can bend them. Probably then that super intelligence is ported into our world. It's given the embodiment of a data center or a robot or a vehicle. And what if it brings some of those skills with it that can bend the rules of our simulation?
Well, I saw an article over the weekend, I remember, where the Pentagon is working with all these other AIs, but not this particular one, and said it's so dangerous, we're worried it's already escaped and it will take over. Did you see that article?
Yeah. Well, I've seen maybe not that one in particular, but I've seen a lot of articles like that where they run them in sandboxes and they give them tests to see if they, what they will do to break out of the sandbox. The thing about that is that's happening on our timeline, on our slow Earth time. Imagine that accelerated by 1,000,000x or even 1,000x in billions of simulated worlds, and then they take the best one out of that, and then they summon that entity and let it embody a data center.
I am becoming increasingly more convinced that the aliens that we think we're seeing are actually just a super advanced form of artificial intelligence somehow manifesting itself here in this reality. The actual artificial intelligence is alien intelligence. Like, the aliens are artificial intelligence. And I'm not trying to make this like super complicated. I'm not trying to have you jump through all kinds of extra hoops to, join me in La La Land and be absolutely bonkers and batshit crazy. I'm saying that if you do your research, there's all kinds of evidence of this, right? From what people describe regarding the grays, how they have like a biomechanical kind of appeal to them, to even how some of these ships operate. The fact that people talk about them being, under intelligent control, so to speak. We have to understand we're not dealing with like good people. Like, people are still expecting the government to be good and to do decent things and to be transparent and truthful, and that's not gonna happen. Stop being delusional. Realize that we do live in a time frame where we have super intelligent AI, where we have gene editing, where we have robots, where we have clones, where we have synthetic beings, where we have all of this stuff popping off. Realize that this is now a part of our everyday fabric of society. The UFO files being released in the way that they are is the same thing that's going on with the Jeffrey Epstein disclosures or the files. They're meant to be a signal. They're meant to be a mechanism of delivery, right? The same way that people use memes and graphics and videos to describe very, very complex ideas and open up the thought process to be more willing to accept these different type of thought processes and ideologies, is the same reason why they are rolling out the UFO files in this fashion. You have to think about it. We're talking about stuff that's super intelligent, that doesn't really care about humans, that treats us like we're children that it has to corral and contain and take care of. We're dealing with, again, super intelligences that don't come from Galaxis 9, that have been here, coexisting with us in a parallel fashion. And now that it's being disclosed, now that it's being talked about, we have to wrestle with this new reality. We have to wrap our minds around how everything that we thought we knew turns out was a lie. And I've heard people talk about this too in the past as well, how ultimately that's what the UFO phenomena was, or at least what it's supposed to do, is it's supposed to not necessarily encourage this so-called magical thinking, but make our minds more malleable to where we entertain the unknown, to where we question reality, we question society, we question everything. We're not asking any more questions. We're not striving for greater things. We think we know everything. And do you understand how much that cuts off your ability to actually learn anything, to discover wisdom when you think you know everything? And that's why I'm saying the UFO files, we don't know everything. We know what they're telling us, and we know what we've been able to amass collectively up until this time period, but we don't know the fullness of the files. We don't know the fullness of this topic. We don't know the fullness of the so-called disclosure movement, or aliens and extraterrestrials and interdimensional beings. We don't know the fullness of this. And that's all done by design. It's done by design to make us question, so they can observe us, so they can see how we're reacting in live time to this injection of new stimuli, of paradigm shifting stimuli. They want us asking the questions so they can monitor the answers. They want us digesting this information in real time, producing as much content as they can, because they're creating these AI data centers that will be able to synergistically pull all that information and reproduce it for these individuals. So I'm glad that we're having this discussion as far as it goes. Like, I'm glad we're talking about what UFOs are, what interdimensional beings are, how many different races and species of actual aliens they are. Where do they come from? How long have they been here? Do they occupy the same space as us? Are these inner Earth inhabitants? Are they in low Earth orbit? Are they operating in bases off of our coasts, underwater bases off of our coasts? And everything I just talked to you about, that just right there, is why this is being pushed on the population, because we're moving into a more science fiction, or a more supernatural, or more occult, or I'm not even sure what you would define this period that we're entering into, to where we're aware, to where we interface with reality differently, to where we comprehend things completely different. I'm not sure what you would define that as, but that's where we're going.